Hey everyone, welcome back to the Super IO Bros podcast. I'm Carlos, joined with my guests John and Yusuf. Now, today we're going to be talking about AI, what's real, what's hype, and what actually means for people at work. Super simple, super human. Let's jump in. Today, let's start off with a simple question. Where is AI actually boosting productivity in the workplace?
Okay, so I'll be taking over this one.
What do you guys say, John?
So I got a few things to say. So where is it actually boosting productivity in the
Like in your workplace.
in my workplace? Yeah.
Uh,
So what I see, and like from firsthand experience, at least, I guess I'll talk about myself first, and then I'll talk about like what I see my coworkers doing, because like I don't get the full like
Pit.
everything that they get to like I don't see everything that they do, but at least for myself, where I'm using AI the most, I guess you could say, is like in the menial tasks that I would be doing, like internal comms. Ah, I'm blanking on the word transcription, not transcription.
Translation.
Translation. There you go.
And
Sorry, it's late.
uh,
The translations. So since I work for the Caribbean, there's several different languages that our employees speak. However, we've whittled it down to just three main ones that go out to the, you know, all the countries in the Caribbean. So that's English, Spanish, and French. I just put four, but three. Um, so those translations, if I didn't have AI, would take me forever because I don't speak French. Two, you guys know I don't like to speak Spanish unless like we're at karaoke. So that translation would have taken me a little bit. And English is English. So it expedites the process a lot for me. What would take me probably, maybe an hour, takes me 2 minutes. As well as like other small things like creating images to go out in communications, to go out in flyers and engagement activities for the employees. That's where I use AI most of the time, typically because I don't like to use it for like the meat of my work because I just don't trust it in that aspect. I guess I'll use it for those more important tasks, almost to just kind of bounce back and forth with, but it's never like the main driver for those important tasks for me. Now, when I see my coworkers using it, it's pretty similar instances, like a lot of the menial tasks. So I know they use it for like communications, they use it for emails. I would say they use it effectively, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot left to be desired. I definitely don't think when our organization rolled out the AI features that we have, which we use Copilot, but we also had like our own Gen AI. Um, I definitely don't think they envisioned it would be used for just this. They definitely thought it would probably be used for more tasks, but the issue there is just we don't a lot of the employees don't really have that familiarity with AI right now.
mhm.
So that's why it's very limited. So like the productivity that you see is it's like almost lackluster. It definitely makes a difference. It makes things faster. It gives them more time to focus on the important tasks. But I don't think that's what these organizations were hoping for, and I honestly don't think that that's what they want. Definitely more work needs to be done, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I mean, would you say was any training implemented for the Copilot AI switch, or if you know of the old previous one, was there since it was like an in-house AI, was there anything
Well,
provided?
I wasn't there when the original one was like he stated. As far as I know, or at least I'm under the impression that there was never any training for the original one. It was just kind of like here you go, use it if you'd like or don't. And the new one with Copilot is also it kind of just goes around through word of mouth. Some people don't even know that we have it. I know in my department, well, not my department, the department I sit in, there's like employees who have been there for 20 plus years. So all of this is obviously very new to them. It's not something that they use in their day to day, like I've used since we were in university. Like I have greater level of familiarity with it, so it comes easier to me to use the new platforms and softwares and stuff. Like, it's not hard. I don't really need a certain level of training to understand how to utilize AI. But them who, one, don't even know it exists, two, don't know how to use it or what it can be used for, like, there's definitely needs to be training, and it needs to be mandatory, because like the only trainings I've seen are more just like it goes out in a communication, like, hey, this is getting placed onto your computers. You can, again, like I just said, like, use it if you want. It's gonna help you out. They will be like voluntary training if you want to partake in it, but it's not mandated. So they'll never get the full potential of what AI could do for them, because like, even understanding how to use it, you gotta understand how to implement it too. Like, I could give somebody a car from like an uncontacted tribe and tell them, hey, this is gonna get you faster. But they're not gonna know how to, one, they're not gonna know how to turn it on.
Especially if it's manual, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, GG's.
I mean, yeah.
So without the training, you think that maybe AI is kind of harming productivity?
I wouldn't say it's harming. Well, no, I wouldn't say it's harming productivity. There's no way.
At that case, I would say they just don't use it if they don't know how to
It's
use it.
Well, it doesn't harm it. It doesn't harm it. They're not grasping the full potential of AI, which is like a waste of money at that point almost. But then again, I mean, that happens all the time. They're just, repeat the question. I lost my.
That because they're bringing in AI without training the employees,
Mhm.
they're going ahead and using it without any training, and it's harming it.
Yeah, it's not harming them. It's one, it's lost potential, and two, it, you could say, harms, but like it's not harming them. They're trying to figure it out, so you could say there's a little bit of wasted time. Like, there's definitely a little bit of wasted time, just like being repetitive with it and arguing with ChatGPT, and then they'll give up. So if you want to consider that harming them, sure, but I feel like that's like very like
But
small.
there's also like maybe these people are using it and they just take whatever it feeds them. They
Yes.
just believe it. But
Yeah.
that's another thing.
But from what he's saying, it's very minuscule tasks. So
Yeah.
it's not like they're gonna improperly write them an email. I mean, I think they could kind of know how an email is supposed to be
Yeah.
written.
Common sense isn't so
Yeah.
common.
Yeah, common sense isn't so common like you say, but
Yeah.
I mean
But
they've been in the company. You say a lot of the workers there have been in
Yeah,
the company 10+ years.
forever. I don't think it's harming them. I just think sometimes you can waste time with ChatGPT and like all these other AIs. But I wouldn't say it necessarily harms their productivity. I think that's just more of like a learning curve. And
Yeah.
then trying to figure out like where they can use it, where they can implement it, the limitations of what AI can actually do for them, because it can't do everything. So yeah, it wouldn't say harm.
So there was a study you said.
Yeah, there was a study that was going on, and they had 95 people from India, um, which they were all coders. They're all freelance. A lot of them, since they're freelance, they don't work for an organization. So some are familiar with AI, some are not. But they were testing out Copilot at the time and seeing how it does with coders and how does it help productivity in that sense. So they gave them all the same task, and they went ahead and gave some AI, and then the other group didn't have AI. So they wanted to measure the amount of minutes it would take for them to complete the task, and if they ever completed the task, and how it was done. So they started at, if you did it under 30 minutes, you get $120, which in India goes a long way.
Mhm.
But $120. If you do over, I believe 150 was the minimum, you get $20. And so they went like that, and they saw at the end of it that about 55% improvement in the productivity and time that it took for somebody using Copilot compared to other people. There were some outliers from both that went over 300 minutes, and they were cut off at the final. But in comparison to that, there was also another outlier for somebody that didn't use the AI but was faster than everybody that used Copilot. Um, But that, like I said, those are like outliers. Those are people that are just born to do it, born to do coding. They're just next level. Um, but overall, there was a big increase. It was a big 55%. I mean, so based on that article, it's basically suggesting that AI minimizes the amount of time it takes per task. Like you were saying, minuscule tasks. So maybe it's like it helps you in your emails, it helps you in your translation, so you could focus on bigger tasks than just focusing on those little day-to-day things that might take up time over. Like it might not see it's like, oh, maybe like a 2-minute email, but let's say you have to do like 30 emails. So that's an hour right there. Right there, just missed, and then probably going through each one, double checking. That's probably like an hour and a half.
CCing people.
CCing everything. So all you gotta do is you just focus on the big projects.
Yeah.
And I think I see what you're talking about in the productivity sense, but also it's like you said, it's like getting the keys to a Ferrari and not knowing how to like shift the gears and really get the real approach of it.
Yeah.
Stay in first gear.
Yeah, they're missing out on a lot. But I feel like that kind of goes into our second question, which is just, where AI is missing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, does it hurt? I mean, you've talked about this a little bit. How do you feel about AI?
Yeah, I feel that sometimes there's people who go in using AI, and because AI pulls information from so many different sources, it's just kind of spitting out whatever the user sometimes wants to believe. And if the user doesn't fact check or look into it, he might just think, oh, everything the AI is telling me is correct.
Now, do you believe that AI can help people, like in the sense of what about if somebody doesn't, they're a little bit skeptic, but they go ahead and they use AI to kind of workshop ideas. It's like having a friend to bounce ideas with, but instead of, going to find somebody in the office that has the time to work with you on it, you go ahead and use AI, you start workshopping ideas. I think it's important to, when you do that, it's like you said, you can't trust it 100%, but you also got to remember like who's in charge.
Yeah.
You're in charge. You're the human.
Yeah.
You're the person that's supposed to have the ideas being, deriving. You can bounce with them. They can make suggestions, but the idea has to be yours. It's to really get the most out of AI.
I think the only time AI truly hurts like an employee is when they let it become the driver and they become like the cyborg in the article that we were reading, and they just let it take control of the project from start to finish, and they don't validate any of the information at any point throughout there. They just kind of blindly trust it, like willy-nilly, and just whatever the end product is what they're gonna go
Yeah,
with.
you're basically just copy pasting.
In a sense, you're copy pasting. I mean, it'll tell you, yes, like this is the right way to go.
Yeah.
But it could be leading you astray. So that's the only sense that like I feel like AI would hurt productivity, but I feel like that's less, I think that's less on AI because it has its limitations and we have an understanding of its limitations. And that's more so on the organization itself and not training its employees to give them this understanding that, hey, you shouldn't approach work this way with AI. It's
Yeah.
almost like not malpractice, but in a sense, you are using it incorrectly.
Yeah.
And that's more of like a user thing than an AI thing itself. And making sure that they understand that they are the driver, that they're the ones in control, and this is a tool, not the whole process itself, is like the most important thing. And getting organizations to get the proper training behind it so that we can actually grasp like the full potential of its productivity is when we'll like stop missing the mark and go beyond just the menial tasks that we use it for right now. Because even me, who like, how long have we been using chat for? How long? Like 2-3 years or something like that. Like even me, who's been using it for so long, it's hard for me to like. Sometimes when I'm doing the meat of my work, it's hard for me to even like conceptualize I can use AI for this. Like I'll try sometimes, and if it doesn't go right, I'll be like, okay, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna waste my time, right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
argue with this computer right now.
But I understand kind of like where people kind of go in the everyday sense. You know, it's kind of like when Google came out,
Mhm.
everybody was kind of skeptic at first, but then everybody started using Google to get all their information. And it's like, yes, it is an information hub. You know,
Mhm.
it's probably one of the best out there. It's where like ChatGPT or like all the other AI browsers gets their information. I'm pretty sure. You know, it's a connector of all sorts. But now, I mean, just my dad the other day, he was asking it for like advice. You know, it's like ChatGPT is not a mechanic, but it will find something to try to like. It will find articles. So I would say like for somebody that wants to maybe solve something that's critical,
Mhm.
I would say instead of asking it what's the answer, or like if like maybe it's a theory or a study you kind of want to do, I would suggest where are some articles that I could look at, you know? And then what?
You know, it pulls fake articles
Yeah.
sometimes. So
I mean you gotta check the sources. You gotta like
yeah,
go in. You're not just gonna pull the article and then just link it and then be like, it's good.
I know some people.
No. What I'm suggesting is you get the links to the article and you go ahead, you click them, you check them yourself, you read them,
Mhm.
and just get the information for yourself.
Mhm.
You know, it's a tool that could be used to expand your knowledge,
Yeah.
not just tell you, okay, it's green.
Mhm.
You know, but maybe it's not green. Maybe it's actually yellow, but some articles say it turns blue sometimes. So you never know.
Mhm.
So it's like nothing's ever certain in this world, and it's important and imperative to like read.
Yeah. To be thorough. Be thorough with your.
And chat could be used to go ahead and expand. Like
It's a tool.
instead of sniffing for hours for articles,
Mhm.
you can go ahead and like maybe can you find me 10?
Mhm.
And it's like maybe it's like, oh, can you find me some that are like free that doesn't need a paywall, or like where can I find some? And it's like maybe they let you know where you can find some.
I feel like people. This isn't part of the question at all. This is just more purely conversational.
Yeah.
I feel like the conversation with AI is just so black and white. It's either people like almost demonize it and say it's gonna steal all of our jobs. Like Chat GPT is like the worst thing ever in the sense of like it's taking jobs away, it's making people's work redundant and stuff like that. And then there's the other side of the conversation. It's like it's the best thing ever. This is gonna save everybody. It's gonna make your job that much easier. And I feel like there's like so much nuance to the conversation, and I feel like people just miss the mark. Like people, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, like the general consensus view of AI is just not correct. Like it shouldn't be viewed as like the ultimate band-aid over work and stuff like that. Like it's not gonna solve everybody's problems, and it's not gonna like ruin everybody's jobs and stuff like that. I just feel like
Yeah.
it shouldn't be so black and white, and people should approach the conversation with AI a little bit differently in the workplace as opposed to just like saying it's the best or it's the worst.
I know this kind of reminded me of the thing you were talking about with Wendy's before the drive-through.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. The so for those who don't know, Wendy's recently I went to Wendy's and they did not have somebody taking your order in the drive-through. Instead they had AI. It was just listening in the whole time like it was Siri, and it would ask you questions. Oh, what do you want to eat today? Then you go ahead, you answer, and it had a preset dialogue, but it also was interacting with you in a sense of if you wanted something specific, it would ask you, oh, would you want this? And then it would also incorporate, oh, would you want to pick lemonade with this?
Mhm.
And it's actually a pretty good adaptive AI, and I'm kind of surprised that Wendy's came out with it, but it seems pretty functional because yeah, why it takes an opportunity for somebody working the mic. I mean, the people that would have been working the mic is probably focusing more on the food.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to, because a lot of the times you have like 20 cards. So it's like when one goes and you're like rushing to like do food, somebody else is on the mic and they're like, "Hello, can I get a?"
But has that AI ever heard a thick Cuban Miami accent?
That's
I don't think.
that could be a problem.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah, we
I
gotta
don't
see.
think so.
We gotta
I
see
don't
how it reacts with accents.
I want to see like how
How
good, how
adaptive it
accurate
is.
it is at actually picking up what they want. Like if somebody wants something hyper specific on
Can
the order,
understand.
this guy,
Can it
like
understand different languages? That's
exactly.
gonna be another
Secret
one.
menu, secret menu item.
Like in theory, it sounds great. Oh, we don't need someone manning the intercom anymore. Like,
Yeah, but how
there's some more
practical?
Exactly. You would think the quality's gonna be better. Like we're gonna have more time to cook the burgers and stuff like that. But like I can't imagine it actually like making a significant increase in like productivity or like quality.
I mean,
or,
there's
sure
a there's a
something.
big chance that there would be maybe improved. I mean, as you said, because of the accent thing and maybe like translation, maybe there's a chance that it just gets the order wrong completely.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also a chance that the order is laid out and less errors from the workers happen. You know, in a
Potentially.
sense.
I'm just like interested to see like what the like performance of it actually is because like I really
I mean,
think
it's
the
a
whole
recent thing, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still
I'm sure there's kinks to it. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's like some glitches, and I'm sure it gets it right like a majority of the time. But like I just feel like I'm hesitant to like the full automation of like some of those processes because I just really don't think it's necessary. I feel like at that point they're just trying to save money, which I mean, in the end of the day, it's all about.
it still is money to implement a system like that.
Yeah,
At least up front.
but it's not salary. It's
Yeah.
well, it's not even salary. You're not paying for the hour. You
Yeah.
know what you're gonna pay.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. But I would say
Mm.
maybe we did spend a big bank on that, honestly, because I went.
Sure.
I asked for like so sweet and sour. It said 50 cents. I said what? McDonald's doesn't ask for that. Nobody asked for that. Not even Chick-fil-A. They give you like 3 bags of like
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A sauce if you want.
Yeah. And then they tell you to have a great day.
Does AI say that?
It did actually.
My pleasure.
It said have a great day. That would be the day. Robots and roller skates.
Reminds me of some AIs that I've seen that they just make coffee and stuff. It's not even people.
No.
So, what do you
Is it good?
I
I mean, that's
He's
like,
a treat.
have you had it?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh,
The coffee got in the sewer.
he's what's it called when you hate robots?
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
don't know.
I don't know.
Robophobic,
Robophobic.
Did you just coin that term?
maybe. Write it down right now.
No, but I mean, I think it's good, but it's like you said. I feel like we have to take more of the Centaur approach when it comes to AI.
There's definitely pitfalls to it.
The Centaur approach is basically where he was saying the cyborg, everything you do is like you kind of copy and paste.
Mhm.
It's 100% AI. Realistically, you're just the one clicking
Pushing the
everything.
buttons.
Yeah, pushing the buttons. But this one is kind of like you use it to just sharpen whatever you want to bring out. You
Mhm.
know, you maybe use it for like a certain process, to like a minuscule task in a bigger scheme.
You use it to your strengths.
Yeah.
Exactly. You use it where you know it's going to make you more effective.
And it provides some sort of skepticism because you're only using it as a sword. You're not using it as the whole plot of armor.
Mhm.
You know. But I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Which brings us to
Número 3.
number 3. Now, let's talk about the closing talking point, our take, the path forward. Now, how can organizations actually unlock productivity through AI? We've kind of been talking about it little by little, hinting at it throughout this podcast. But what do you think, John?
Well, I think it's all starts at the top. And I think that's like by having a good understanding of AI's limitations and knowing how to properly implement it within your organization, like play into your own strengths, like know which positions can utilize most benefit from AI implementation. And when you're implementing those AI softwares and processes and stuff like that. Just make sure that there's thorough training behind it and that the employees have the same level of understanding as you do. Because, like we mentioned earlier, it's like giving someone from an uncontacted tribe, a supercar and just telling them to drive it, on like the Autobahn or something, whatever. They're not going anywhere. That thing's not moving. So, making sure that we have the processes in place that we have for like other systems that we've rolled out in the past. Like there's proper training for pretty much every position. So why would we not have the same thing for AI? And if you're gonna create it, and if you're gonna spend all the money on this AI, definitely don't make it voluntary. Make it mandatory.
Yeah.
I know it sucks because that's less money that the organization can be making in that point in time. But think about all the money you're going to be making if the productivity really does boost as much as these big heads think it can. So
I see a major obstacle though for AI in the future, and you're seeing it now. I'm gonna read this quote that I saw. It says, it's by Hannah Mayer. It says, almost all companies invest in AI, but just 1% believe they are at maturity. Our research finds that the biggest barrier to scaling is not employees who are ready, but leaders who are not steering fast enough. Now, I mean, a big problem with this is, like you said, there's not training, really. But like, how can you train if your manager doesn't even really use it himself, doesn't even really know? It all starts from the top.
Yeah.
And then it trickles down. The trickle down effect.
Yeah.
So it's like
leadership buy-in.
There's probably gonna be a big chance of like misuse of AI in the workplace because of the fact there is really no guidelines. It's kind of like the wild wild west if you think about it.
Everybody's trying to figure it out. That's what I'm saying. There needs to be like the correct guidelines in place. Like there needs to be like bumpers on like a bowling alley. Because if not, you're just going to be going all over the place. You're going to be getting gutters left and right. You're not going to be utilizing it correctly. So,
And I also think that the AI itself needs to kind of be trained in a way, because if you just use a general AI platform for any role, it can be very general instead of a trained one where it kind of knows what's like needed and is more specialized towards that task.
Yeah, I think I think some AI have packages
Yeah.
that you can kind of personalize
Because
it.
like some AIs are like horrible at like art, while others are better at like making images.
Yeah, of course, but you're not gonna get like a basic AI for like a
have with that. That's the thing. They're trying to standardize it. They're trying
Yeah.
to save as much money as possible. So whatever's the best package, pretty much, is what
Yeah.
they're going to implement. That's why we have Copilot. I wouldn't even say Copilot's like the best AI. I don't even use the Copilot. I use my own personal
Yeah,
ChatGPT at
but
work.
you're using ChatGPT because you're not only used to
I have a
it, but it's
subscription.
also it's also
It's the
used
you
it's
guys
used to like it's more personalized to you in a way.
No, you guys laugh, but I'm dead serious. I've had conversations with my boss, and he's like, if you like the other one and you think the other one's better, go for it. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with it in me not using the system that my organization is paying for. If I'm paying for it on my own dime, the other one, if I'm paying for it on my own dime. And I know that one is going to make me more productive and it's going to help me with my work more.
Would you say that just because you're more used to it?
I wouldn't say just because I'm more used to it. It's because
But at this point, you said you've been using it for like 3+ years. So
I'm
at this point, it's
sure.
But it's also more adapted to you. If you think about it, it kind of like understands what you would want.
I just made a new account.
You just made a new account? Okay.
I just made a new account. So like it's just
So-
I know the prompts. I know how to work it pretty
Yeah.
much. So like there's like some level of familiarity with it, but like there's also like I feel like there's also obstacles to these other things because
I mean, but just kind of how, I mean, it makes sense because you pay out of pocket and it's yours. Oh, I don't have to say it, but pay out of pocket is like on the dime. But I mean, you got to think about it. Maybe that's the kind of perspective that other workers are taking that don't really want to use the AI. It's just they're not used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have yours, but I mean, they also have that. You just don't want to use it.
Mhm.
Also, because you're paying for yours, but the other thing is, you're just not used to it.
Yeah, and
You don't know how to get the maximum amount from it.
and I'm sure for some of the people that never have used AI, that's the same way they feel even like about themselves. I'm better than this computer. I've done this job for this long. I've done it for efficiently for this
Yeah,
long.
should I
I've
change?
clearly been here for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I'm doing something right. I don't want to use it. Like I'm gonna do my own thing. You could say in a sense I'm stuck in my ways when it comes to using my AI,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm not totally close minded. I've tried the Copilot. I don't like it. I like mine more. So sure, I'm stuck in my ways. Maybe if I was given a class and they taught me how to effectively use that one, I would switch. I'm not saying like get away from me, Copilot.
Yeah.
But
But you know, like any shiny thing that anybody sees, they get FOMO. You know,
yeah, exactly.
want
It's the role.
like when everybody gets
Yeah.
the iPhone craze.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day,
I want a green button.
when it just you don't want the green button. Everybody wants the blue when they text. You know, now you can change it to whatever the hell you want. But like,
I didn't know.
yeah, now you can. Now you can. You can even have a
Reverse catfish. Do that on purpose.
Dude, you can have a picture in the background. Like it doesn't even it changes.
That's cool.
But yeah, it could be whatever now. So I mean, it was a craze back then, and now it's still a craze.
It's gonna always be a
It's
craze.
more like a
It's
prestige, but companies get that as well, especially with AI. They see it as like a big shiny thing. It's like it's productivity because guess what? You know, there are studies that are showing that it is
It
being
is.
productive.
Yeah.
But I would hint, I feel like it's being productive in certain fields,
Mhm.
like in coding.
Mhm.
You know, it's like I think there's other fields that is still yet to flourish in. Like
The
I don't,
impact isn't as felt.
yeah, like I don't think an architect is gonna be like it's gonna be really useful unless maybe there's an AI that draws the manuscripts for them. But I don't think it's gonna be useful for that. You know, so I think it's still developing. They're still creating variations.
Mhm.
But it's also like companies just want to buy in and they just want to get everything they can and they just want it because it looks nice, it sounds nice, but they don't even think twice.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't even think twice about a training.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's just kind of like DeSantis workshop theory, I would say, which entails, you know, it's a concept explored that real world operations could function in any sort of purpose and that is optimized through elements like automated systems. Like it's like when in Santa's workshop, let's say before AI, let's say AI was used in Santa's workshop. So it's like first they had to hand make the tools, then they put them on a little thing, and now they have AI doing it. But guess what? They give them more hours. So do companies want more productivity to give more workload to employees? Is that what they want, or are they going to give them more autonomy, more free time, more time to rest, recuperate, and then come back? More fresh mind, more creativity.
Mhm.
You know, so what is the end goal for companies? I think that's like kind of like my worry is towards the future
Mhm.
is there could be a disparity where it goes the other half. It's like, yeah, we still want you working 40 days a week. It's just instead of doing six tasks a day, I want you doing 12
Mhm.
because you're 55% more productive.
Mhm.
So, you know, I think that's important to look towards the future. Just kind of keep an eye on it, see how companies react to the productivity, and let's see if they actually do create a training because they have to create a training. I feel like going forward, or just leaders have to understand it and be able to teach it to maybe employees. Maybe they don't have to spend money training all the employees down below. Maybe they just have to train the leadership, and then get just training the leadership will help reinforce AI learning and maybe just AI concepts that maybe it's like, oh, I forgot how to do this. I mean, how can you help me? And it's just right there that would create more of a collaboration within the company, and it would create a better relationship with leadership with the employees. The company morale, I think, they'd feel more. Whether also if they got their training, but if just talking with the leadership and stuff, I think they would get a little bit more company buy-in. They would feel a little bit more home towards the organization, more love, I guess. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like that's my take, and I think we should go forward. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Anything you see?
what do you got?
It kind of reminds me of this one company, I forgot the name of it, that's essentially like slowly rolling out the leaders and putting an AI that's coaching new hires essentially.
So it's taken off leaders, and it's just
It's essentially because that
It's like
company had
onboarding
like
process?
they had like managers, had supervisors,
Mhm.
then it had team leaders, like it had so many different roles.
so there's a lot of leadership
And
roles.
yeah, a lot of different leadership roles, and the company felt that it could bring all those roles in and make it into like one AI coach basically.
So it,
Is it
And
onboard?
so it's coaching
Yeah, it's
leaders or
essentially
coaching
yeah, the
No,
AI
it's coaching
is coaching like the employees.
the new hires.
Yeah, and I don't remember like the results from it,
Mhm.
but it's essentially personalized. Like it continues with the employees. It's like personalized to the
Oh,
employees.
okay. So
I think it was during sign off. One
okay,
of the AI during the
Yeah,
AI.
like the AI
Yeah,
coach. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
One of the things that goes used for.
Definitely something to work
yeah,
for,
something.
but I mean, it's definitely important to have somebody in the helm. I feel
Yeah.
like right now, at least.
You have someone in charge of it.
But that's very interesting that they just got rid of the leadership. I mean,
I think the most important takeaway is just having like a realistic expectation
Yeah.
of what AI can actually do. And then that's when you'll see.
if
Like,
not even
something
having a
like-
relationship, having good support
Yeah.
towards like using AI and
It's
how to
it
use it.
starts. It
Yeah.
starts with knowing what it can actually
Mhm.
do for them, and then the support needs to be built around that.
Yeah,
Because I feel like it's just kind of like a one size fits all approach. Like just
yeah, which is not. Everybody
Yeah.
takes it differently. Maybe somebody might have trouble tying their shoes, another person might have trouble designing the Empire State Building. Two different things.
oh.
So everybody has
Mhm.
different
Yeah.
kinks.
Yeah.
So I think it's still important to have that human touch
Mhm.
in leadership, but I think it's important for leaders to learn about AI
Yeah.
going forward.
Mhm.
And companies maybe putting in some money into training them, as you said.
Exactly. I mean, AI at the end of the day, like John said, is a powerful tool, but still, it's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Depending on how you use it, like it doesn't solve everything.
That's what it does.
Even the Iron Man suit had Tony Stark in it. It wasn't. I mean, there were some suits that moved by
Jarvis.
itself, but I mean, it had him
Yeah,
like
the
moving
driver.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe that's it for today, guys. I mean, that's it for today's episode of the Super IO podcast. Thank you for hanging out, diving into the world of AI with us. If you like this episode, share it, drop a comment, send it to someone who needs no nonsense IO insight. Catch you next time. Stay curious, stay human, keep leveling up. See ya.